Hello and welcome. I think it's a little too high. Maybe it's a little too high. Turn that down a little bit. See how that is. It's a little better, right? So what I'm talking about today, obviously, I'm looking to read from I don't know. I can't quite judge it. So what I'm looking at here, as long as I can get this a little bit off center. I recently found a podcast called Veil of Reality. The author here, Bernhard, Guenther. What this post covers. So I'm interested in getting to know Bernhard a little better. I was not quite that interested in his work. It just didn't feel right to me. But I had to sit with it for a little bit and just see that he really was spitting fire. So I'm subscribed to his podcast. I haven't listened to too much of it. So this is me getting to know Bernhard a little bit better. Hopefully if I read this, I can see what he's talking about here. He just loves to Substack. If this goes well, I'll read more of his articles. I'll share a link to his Substack in the description below. And I hope you subscribe to him and support his work. His website is veilofreality.com. Does it go on and on like this? It's going to take a while. It says 15-minute read. This is going to take me 45 minutes to read. Right? Am I tripping? So I'll just get ready to begin. If you're cool with that. I'm going to just begin. Veil of Reality on Instagram, very interesting. The website, veilofreality.com. Bernhard Guenther hosts a podcast with his wife, or partner. And I'm going to read it. I swear to God, I'm going to read this. This is going to be... it's going to take a lot of energy to read it. It's going to be challenging to read. I'm going to summon my will and read it. Time of transition. The battle for the soul. The splitting of humanity and the choice between awakening or assimilation. What this post covers. Bullet point 1. Why I'm launching this Substack as a space for deeper reflections and uncensored exploration beyond the noise of social media. Bullet point 2. Reflections on the deeper shifts unfolding within and around us as we move through a critical phase in humanity's spiritual evolution. Bullet point 3. The hidden layers of the current spiritual war, AI, transhumanism, disembodiment, and the influence of occult forces during this time of transition. Bullet point 4. The intensifying splitting of humanity and how to navigate it by remembering who we are, anchoring the divine, and consciously engaging in the transition. First topic: a call from within. For the past year, I've been sensing a deeper shift within myself and in the world. It is one of those transitions I've felt and experienced at different junctures in my life. It feels like something is pulling me forward while letting go of some old, outdated layers. There is an inner call to shift and align with something that wants to emerge. After many years of walking this path, I now know that it is the divine nudging me once again into the unknown and letting go of the past. It is another shedding and a continuing process of death and rebirth. It is about being receptive to the spiritual imbalance and letting go of control, which the ego always likes to cling to. This is easier said than done for the majority of us most of the time. Topic 2. The spiritual war intensifies. I can sense and feel the splitting of humanity more intensely lately. Many people have experienced that, quote, splitting over the past 5 years as a result of the pandemic and the totalitarian, draconian lockdowns that were imposed on humanity. It resulted in ruptures in relationships, family, and friends, with devastating consequences and unseen metaphysical repercussions because of the C-19 vaccine, in which my view is a black magic spiritual weapon. We are in a spiritual war, and it is now morphing into a different phase. Topic 3. Hidden forces behind the scenes. Many in the truth and freedom movement speak about being in a spiritual war, but most stay focused on the outer 3D aspects of the matrix, the globalists, Zionists, governments, left, center, and right, World Economic Forum, Illuminati, quote, secret societies, or a specific group, etc. The hidden spiritual war is not as obvious, but it will be more covert and deceitful, and fueled by the rise of AI and transhumanism. It won't be based on overt fear and control or information warfare, but rather on hidden temptations that many people are already succumbing to. The lure of comfort in light of the rise of AI and transhumanism, and following the path of least resistance are the most powerful attractors. We're standing on the edge of a massive evolutionary threshold that has the potential to either amplify your creative power or erode your very humanity in the essence of what makes you human. AI and the subtle takeover of the soul. Topic 4. Am I missing this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get a pen. That one doesn't work. AI, the subtle takeover of the soul. But AI is not the real threat, and I'm not anti-AI or against technology. The question is whether AI will take over. But if you can use the friction of these accelerating times of change to become who you are meant to be in the process. If you don't make conscious efforts to evolve by... Hold up. Let me slide this out of here. Go bigger. Can you go bigger? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, please. I don't know if you can read that. That'll be good. If you don't make conscious efforts to evolve by... Bullet point 1, harnessing your creativity. Bullet point 2, strengthening your willpower. Bullet point 3, expanding your attention span. Bullet point 4, shutting out distractions. Bullet point 5, refining your ability to focus on what truly matters. Bullet point 6, develop spirituality. Bullet point 7, cultivating your connection to imagination, inspiration, and intuition. You are at risk of being overtaken by the forces of AI and transhumanism. This takeover will occur quickly and discreetly, as it already is. Many people are already addicted to their phones, social media, and endless... See, this is the issue. I don't really see this as a problem. All of it. All of what he's saying about, I don't really care. That's why this is hard to get through. But I do appreciate his voice. I think he's deeply tapped into something special. So I persevere. Many people are already addicted to their phones, social media, and endless 60 to 90 second content. Algorithms designed to keep the easy dopamine hits flowing and novelty coming. These AI-based algorithms have already been taken over, eroding people's attention spans and ability to focus, think, and be creative. This mental, emotional, and spiritual decline is accelerating, and AI will intensify it. As the saying goes, what you don't use, you lose. Many people are losing their ability to think critically and be creative because they spend too much time consuming shallow content. Increasingly, people are also now utilizing AI to craft their entire social media posts and comments. And some even carry on entire conversations with others entirely through ChatGPT. As a writer and someone familiar with the voice of ChatGPT, I find it easy to spot the phrasing, the excessive dashes. Soon there will be more AI content on social media than original content created by human beings. This makes everyone start to sound the same, like hive mind NPCs. As Aramaic beings overtake them, according to Rudolf Steiner, these are the occult forces of materialism. They obstruct depth of thought and feeling and inspire humans to merge with machines by pushing out the soul and turning humans into programmable automatons. See, this is where I differ. I just don't think that's possible. I think what he's talking about, I don't see it as possible, no matter how much someone talks to ChatGPT. As a result, more people are becoming increasingly absorbed by the outside world and losing connection to the real, quote, I within. This is all part of the splitting of humanity. But while many people will get further entrapped into artificiality and superficiality, others will yearn for more soul, depth, and quality. And these people will find each other. Topic 5. Why I started this Substack. I see Substack as a platform that attracts this kind of person, and it's one of the reasons why I started my own. Inspired by my wife, Laura, who recently started her Substack, I feel compelled to stay true to my inspiration and creative process by focusing more on what I'm good at, long-form content and writing. I was never into writing short posts with catchy clickbait phrases that do so well on social media. I'm not interested in dumbing myself down to chase the algorithm. It's about quality and depth over quantity and superficiality. Over the past 2 decades, I've written over 100 articles and essays on my website, piercing the veil of reality, spanning a range of 2,000 to 40,000 words. Some topics I write about require that depth. They can't be compressed into oversimplified bullet points or social media friendly posts and carousels. This Substack will complement my main website, offering more frequent updates, deeper personal reflections, timely commentary, and serialized insights that go beyond what's possible on social media. I'll explore psycho-spiritual evolution, esotericism, depth psychology, shadow work, spiritual warfare, divine forces, and more. Topic 6. A spiritual litmus test. If you allow yourself to become mentally and spiritually atrophied during these times, stop thinking for yourself and instead outsource all your creativity, problem solving, ability to think, and learning to AI agents, I sense that you will risk losing a connection to your soul in the long run. The solution is not to reject AI either. It is a powerful tool that, if used wisely, can benefit humanity in incredible ways. Ahriman has positive aspects when integrated through higher values and divine truth stemming from the true self. It's about using AI with a higher level of consciousness, creativity, in service to higher principles and under the guidance of your true self. Technology is not merely... Scratch that. Technology is merely a tool. It can either serve the soul and spirit or enslave. But you can only make that distinction if you are already in touch with your soul essence. This brings me to the necessity of a spiritual work during these times. To anchor yourself in the divine and embody your soul in this lifetime. The real task is not to keep up with technology, nor reject it, but to reclaim what makes us truly human. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence, we're called to become more soul-infused humans, anchored in qualities no machine can ever replicate. In bullet point 1, intuition. Bullet point 2, imagination. Bullet point 3, inspiration. Bullet point 4, presence. Bullet point 5, embodied love and compassion. Bullet point 6, relational intelligence. Bullet point 7, higher purpose. And the capacity for each one of us to live a meaningful life, connected to who we truly are and connected to nature as an expression of the divine within. This part is unique to each of us and cannot be replicated or imitated by any machine. Topic 7 here. The long game of dark, hyperdimensional forces. This hidden spiritual warfare is nothing new. It is ancient. What I've been writing and speaking about for over 25 years regarding hyperdimensional interference, entity manipulation, the splitting of humanity, has become more self-evident and intensified. The hidden dark forces that have had a grip on humanity for thousands of years are only accelerating their long-planned endgame. Here it is in a nutshell. From a larger hyperdimensional matrix perspective, the long-term agenda is the full takeover of the human body by occult hyperdimensional forces. These dark spiritual forces are referenced in all occult, spiritual, and esoteric traditions and are given various names. They work through humans. We are all affected by them to varying degrees. Hence, the spiritual war is within and through us, as it has always been. This endgame strategy involves priming and genetically, energetically modifying human beings, which affects their soul and their afterlife experience. They do this through various means, like bullet point 1, mRNA vaccines. Bullet point 2, transhumanism, artificially modifying the body and merging it with machines. Bullet point 3, pharmaceuticals, Bullet point 4, toxic GMOs. Bullet point 5, environmental toxins. Bullet point 6, AI dependence, resulting in atrophy of thinking for oneself and creativity. Bullet point 7, and others. And especially through head-centric living and what I call the quote trauma matrix installment end quote program, which results in bullet point 1, disassociation, bullet point 2, disembodiment, bullet point 3, and chronic nervous system dysregulation. All of these then create entry points for hostile spirits to take over the human body via dislodging the soul from it. Topic 8. The spiritual vacuum and entity invasion. Due to the increase of technology, there is also an increased focus on a materialistic view of life, which creates a spiritual vacuum that can become dangerous to humanity, as Rudolf Steiner warned. In today's materialistic world, we prioritize comfort and convenience over spiritual growth, resulting in a growing disconnection from their true selves and spirit. Excessive, irrelevant, shallow media consumption, over-identification with the body, and a materialistic mindset weaken the soul connection, making individuals more susceptible to external occult influences. It creates a vacuum, which then gets filled by something else. From a 1917 Rudolf Steiner quote, as humans increasingly withdraw their souls from the physical body due to the influence of the forces of materialism, this body is increasingly exposed to the danger of being occupied by other entities. And if the souls are not prepared to accept impulses that can only derive from spiritual knowledge and spiritual practice, then the body is taken over by demonic forces. Humanity is approaching this fate, whereby it is possible for bodies to be filled with demonic forces. End quote. Again, from Rudolf Steiner, 1917. We are also in a time, this is back to Bernhard here. We are also in a time where we are flooded with both corrupted and distorted spiritual teachings, from the New Age arena to the revival of dogmatic religious beliefs. Many of them are outright creations and have been greatly influenced by these deceptive spirits themselves. These ideas fuel spiritual bypassing and the anthropomorphizing of God, which involves projecting human traits onto an external deity. This can lead spiritual seekers into further deception, as they, quote, dream of being awake but are deep asleep, end quote, as Gurdjieff alluded to. Topic 9. Beyond the black pill, the spiritual maturity to face darkness. This is not about being, quote, black pilled, end quote. A term used for an extremely negative and pessimistic state of mind that views humanity as doomed. Having no hope, nor do I see only darkness and evil ahead. In my experience, the black-pilled view is a disempowering state of mind rooted in victim/blame consciousness. I can empathize with people who feel this way, as I have had moments of black-pilledness when contemplating the state of humanity. However, for the most part, I am now seeing it all with excitement, like a grand adventure, the archetypical battle of dark versus light. The dark forces and evil are both part of the divine creation. They are necessary forces that serve a cosmic teaching function and provide the friction to act as catalysts for the evolution of consciousness. You see why I could... This is just me. You see why this is kind of boring? I totally understand and feel everything he says. I totally understand and feel his voice, what he says on his Instagram. I just find it boring. I don't know why I'm bored with this. It's cool. It's enlightening, but it's also fucking boring. As the mother, Sir Aurobindo's collaborator, said, quote, "The hostile forces are tolerated in the world only because they put man's sincerity to the test," end quote. That's from some entity called the Mother. The hostile forces are tolerated in the world only because they put man's sincerity to the test. What does she mean by sincerity? It means stopping to lie to yourself and taking full responsibility for the state of your consciousness and your life. It is also about having sincerity in your spiritual work and being sincere in your aspiration to surrender to the divine so that you can spiritualize your being and fully transform the lower animal nature. From Sri Aurobindo, quote, "The role, cosmic function, of the hostile forces is to test the sincerity and readiness of the individual, humanity, and the earth itself for spiritual ascension." Back to Bernhard here. When I reflect on this broader perspective, I no longer view things in black and white terms. Everything is becoming more nuanced, and rather than making judgments of what is, quote, good and what is, quote, bad, I see it all as part of the divine play unfolding. God's will doesn't work according to our human morality, human logic, and what we want to see according to our own largely conditioned preferences. The divine sees far beyond space and time. Topic 10. The divine paradox of suffering and awakening. If you look back, You can see the paradox of how suffering tends to lead to deeper awakening. Over the past 5 years, we have been subjected to an intense onslaught of the hostile forces attempting to enslave humanity via medical tyranny, C-19 shots, losses of freedom, and ongoing censorship. Many people have lost friends and family, their livelihoods, and faced numerous hardships. However, the intensity of all this has also forced many people to question everything they were taught and told. It inspired many to question their own lives and the choices they are making. It forced them to focus on what truly matters. It also resulted in immense disillusionment for many people. I like reading like that. Those who recognized the teaching function of everything that happened and didn't succumb to the temptation of getting stuck in the victim blame game were able to use the chaos of these times to let go of what needed to be let go of and align with a deeper call from their soul. For many, it initiated a profound journey of awakening. In other words, something good came out of a seemingly bad situation in the context of the evolution of consciousness. We all have our individual roles to play during these times. And if the divine attempts to do his work through us as unique transducers of divine will, yet we also need to make an effort to receive. I thought I had some drink here. Be right back. Yet we also need to make an effort to receive the spiritual impulse via the inner purification process and a sincere aspiration to our higher nature. There are also divine forces supporting and assisting us, and we can receive their guidance. Yet they won't just save us or bail us out of our situation, but they act according to divine will and will refrain from interfering with the soul and karmic lessons we need to learn for our own development. Topic 11. The time of transition. I chose the title, quote, Time of Transition, end quote, for my Substack because we are currently undergoing a massive transition on the cosmic, global, and human level. It affects all dimensions and beings across the planes of creation. I also have had many, quote, transitions, end quote, in my life, just like this one I'm sensing now. When reflecting on your own life, I'm sure many can relate. Perhaps you can also sense and now see retrospectively the divine force, God, guiding you and nudging you, not only through blissful experiences and amazing synchronicities, but also through experiences that, bullet point 1, go against what you thought you wanted to happen. Bullet point 2, by taking away parts of your life and certain relationships. Bullet point 3, revealing your wounds and making you face your shadow. and all of what you were afraid of and were hiding from. But all of this led you to your authentic self, to a more fulfilling life with a deeper purpose and a higher vision. Topic 12. The law of ascent and descent. Or maybe you are deep down in the pit right now, with no light in sight, wondering, quote, why me? Or, quote, God, have you forsaken me? End quote. I have had these moments too. I have been on the brink of suicide a few times, when my life fell apart and I descended into the hell realm within my own psyche, lingering in despair and shame. These dark experiences were being augmented by all kinds of hostile, demonic entities feeding on my suffering. Yet each time I was able to climb my way out. And after the descent, I emerged stronger and reached higher levels of consciousness. I mean no disrespect. I really love this guy's writing. I really find this person to be an amazing mind and a serious ally. I highly recommend this Substack and his website and his podcast. I highly recommend it all. I don't mean to mock it in any way. It's funny. Why am I doing it this way? I just think I'm trying to add some humor to it. But I've already touched on these topics so deeply that I'm sorry. I'm reading this to entertain myself, but the message is very serious. Through those experiences, I learned the most important lesson and divine law on the path. The law of ascent and descent. It states that you can only truly raise to higher levels of consciousness and raise your frequency as deeply as you are willing to go. The more you can explore the shadow within yourself, purifying your being by descending into the underworld, higher you climb. The path toward awakening is not a linear road upward to heaven. It spirals up, down, in, out, back, and forth, expanding on all levels and bringing everything unconscious within us to the surface along the way. Anything that is asleep within us will be put under the spotlight of truth to be purified in the light. As Sri Aurobindo said, quote, none can reach heaven who has not passed through hell, end quote. And it's echoed by Carl Jung, quote, no tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell, end quote. This law not only applies to us personally, but also to the collective. The darkness must be made conscious within ourselves and in the world, for they are both interrelated, since all is one. Okay, we're on topic 13. The esoteric context of the shift. So this is the evolutionary process we're in during this time of transition. Boris Moraviv in Gnosis refers to the quote, time of transition, end quote, as a phrase marking the shift of the ages. A concept also mirrored in other esoteric teachings, both Eastern and Western. This period offers a rare opportunity. It calls on a fraction of humanity, those who answer the call, to consciously engage in the great work, to become individuated, spiritualized, and capable of anchoring the divine force. Through this process, they contribute to the transmutation of the world and the liberation of the earth from hostile, anti-divine influences. If this evolutionary task is not fulfilled, the consequence will be cataclysmic destruction, similar to the fate of Atlantis, or the symbolic account of the flood in the story of Noah's Ark. And there will be necessity to repeat the entire cycle. Topic 14, our role in the transition and divine manifestation. Ultimately, the divine will overcome all of our ignorance, falsehood, and evil in the evolutionary process. However, we cannot sit back and simply let God do his thing. We still have to play our part and consciously participate in the manifestation as conscious transducers of divine will, acting as his instrument. Just like Arjuna on the battlefield with Krishna. The key message of the Bhagavad Gita is that non-action is not an option in the face of the battle. It is not about being passive. All of these pacifist ideas have been used for spiritual bypassing across the ages and are also based on the corruption of spiritual teachings. The ignorance they create has only served the hostile Asuric forces. But here's the trick. These times are not about being neutral or sitting on the fence. It is about having the courage to hold a position, yet also without attachment to it. It's about acting without concern for defeat or success, and acting only in concentration on the divine. That is what Krishna taught Arjuna, to take action without attachment to the outcome. It's the work and duty of the karma yogin. It is when you stop acting purely for personal and selfish reasons and desires, but for something greater than yourself. In these times, this perspective gives me something higher to aspire towards. These are exciting times to be alive, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. To be continued, Godspeed. Thank you for joining me for this reading. I hope to see you all in a future video. I've been Nicole Jera, and this is Turtle Island Tetragrammaton. Have a blessed day. Thank you.